criticize and criticism that reflects the overall. We suggest that you clap vigorously and make a lot of noise, but do not use any disrespectful chants or slogans. We understand that chanting and may not be natural to some people, but it has also become natural to a lot of us. So we are not going to ban you from using it. We are not here to express any support to any proscribed organization. So please refrain from doing so. We want to remain within the law so as to keep the battle going. And finally, there will be photography. And I would suggest that if you do not want to appear in any pictures or films, that you turn away or use a face covering. I, for one, on the other hand, would be proud to have my picture taken in the event like today. Our vigil will have 3 parts. First, we will hold a silent vigil for the children, families and civilians of Gaza. This will last 2 minutes. Please show your appreciation by clapping and making noise. Next, we will hear from Healthworkers4Palestine, who will read a joint statement on behalf of all of us. And lastly, we shall hold a second 2-minute vigil for the healthcare workers who have been killed and murdered by Israel. At the end of this vigil, we shall respectfully and peacefully disperse from here. Not in a procession, because we do not have permission for a march. But we will disperse, and hopefully for all of you will make our way to the Palestine House. Not very far from here, it's 7 minutes walk near High Roman. We are very lucky to have some really world-class speakers and colleagues here. And I will introduce them to you as we go forward. So our goals for today are, number 1, we want to show our absolute solidarity with the suffering of all civilians, especially children in Gaza, since we are in front of the army. What's happening in Gaza and wider occupied territories are war crimes that must be stopped, and perpetrators, Israel, and occupied force must be punished. Secondly, we want to make it clear that we are disgusted by the actions and inaction of Israel's Western allies. They are complicit in arming and aiding a genocidal Israeli state, which is best described as terrorist rogue state. Thirdly, we are sick of the lame and cow-towing institutions in UK, including the medical and healthcare professional bodies, including my own college behind me, the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health. Their responses are reactive. They tell half-truths, they obfuscate, and doing so they fail the leadership test. Time is coming when they too will be held to account. People have woken up, and their way will not last. Timidity and obfuscation are not neutrality, they are complicity. We now invite you to take part in a 2-minute silent vigil for the children and civilians of Gaza who have been murdered by Israel. The 2 minutes start now. of our speakers, and I'm going to start with my friend and colleague, Dr. Hamad Khan. He is a consultant neonatologist in London with 20 years experience in disaster response and global health. He's the medical director for Humanity First and is a member of the steering committee of the Child Health Advocate for Palestine. Over to Hamad. Please show your appreciation by clapping.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you to all of you. As a paediatrician, I stand before you not just as a healthcare professional, but as a voice for the countless children of Gaza who have been silenced by violence, displacement, and despair. I also speak for colleagues like me, horrified by what has unfolded in Gaza. Colleagues who have dedicated their lives to saving children and who cannot stand by in silence while children are deliberately targeted and denied the most basic right, the right to live. The scale of suffering is staggering. This is not just a humanitarian crisis, it is a moral catastrophe. Since October of 2023, more than 50,000 children have been killed or injured in Gaza. More than 20,000 are confirmed dead, and nearly 40,000 have lost one or both parents, including around 17,000 left completely orphaned. These are not statistics to be debated in political chambers. They are children with names, with favourite games, with birthdays that will never be celebrated. They are futures stolen and lives cut short. The healthcare system, the backbone of survival, has been systematically dismantled. Only 18 hospitals remain partially functional, and entire regions are left without a single working facility. Neonatal care capacity has collapsed by 64%, leaving premature and sick newborns without incubators, oxygen, or the simplest of medicines. These are deaths that should never have happened. And let us be clear, healthcare workers themselves have been deliberately targeted. Doctors, nurses, and paramedics have been killed in airstrikes while on duty, detained without charge, and denied access to legal protection. The arrest of colleagues such as Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, a paediatrician at Kamal Adwan Hospital, is emblematic of this assault on medical neutrality. The killing and imprisonment of health professionals are not accidents of war. They are war crimes.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
When the very people entrusted to heal are themselves attacked, the entire principle of medical care is destroyed. Gaza's education system has also been devastated. More than 6,000 students have been killed and 600,000 children have had their schooling disrupted. Schools lie in ruins, teachers have been killed, and classrooms have become makeshift shelters. Education is not a privilege. It is a right, and yet an entire generation of Palestinian children is being robbed of the chance to learn, to grow, and to dream of a better future. And now that famine has been declared, on the 22nd of August 2025, the World Health Organization confirmed Gaza's first officially recognized famine. More than 500,000 people face catastrophic hunger. with projections rising to 640,000 by this month. At least 132,000 children under 5 are at imminent risk of death from malnutrition. In July alone, 25 children died of starvation, bringing the toll to at least 88 children killed by hunger since this war began. To put it plainly, children are being starved to death in full view of the international community. The psychological toll is profound and enduring. Children in Gaza are experiencing nightmares, depression, and overwhelming fear. Over half of Gaza's children have contemplated suicide, and 3 in 5 are self-harming. Imagine children so young they should be drawing pictures or playing football, instead believing that ending their lives is the only way to escape their suffering. This is the measure of the trauma they have endured. This devastation violates the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, ratified by every country except the United States, and has been condemned by the International Court of Justice. These are not just moral failures, they are legal obligations being trampled with impunity. As healthcare professionals, we cannot remain silent. More than 800 of us, through Child Health Advocates for Palestine, have called on the UK government to act, to end arms sales, to ensure the free passage of humanitarian aid, and to evacuate critically injured children for treatment, as many other countries have done. But solidarity must be matched with concrete action. Today, we make these demands. The UK government's continued supply of arms, intelligence, and diplomatic cover to Israel is in breach of international law and the Genocide Convention. The UK must demand an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the lifting of the siege, and unimpeded humanitarian access. The root cause must be addressed. Israel's occupation of Gaza and the Palestinian territories must end, in line with international law and ICJ rulings. The UK must immediately end all diplomatic, trade and defence ties with Israel and impose comprehensive actions until these demands are met. The government must also protect its own healthcare workers, those raising the alarm here at home who face censorship and discrimination, and those risking their lives to deliver aid in Palestine.
Absolutely.
We also call on UK royal colleges, professional bodies and healthcare institutions, including the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, to publicly condemn Israel's killing of civilians, including children, and its deliberate targeting of healthcare workers and hospitals. The colleges must urge the UK government to end all political, military and economic support to Israel. They should sever institutional links with Israeli bodies complicit in war crimes, divest from financial, academic or institutional ties sustaining occupation and apartheid, protect members who face reprisals for speaking out, and facilitate a national conference on healthcare in Gaza, ensuring all funds raised go directly to Palestinian NGOs. The suffering of Gaza's children is not an isolated tragedy. It is part of a wider, systematic persecution described by Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch as apartheid, a system of segregation, dispossession and denial of basic rights. We must stand against this injustice just as a previous generation stood against apartheid in South Africa. Defending children's rights is not political, it is a moral imperative. History is watching. Our children and grandchildren will one day ask us what we did when the children of Gaza were starved, bombed and silenced. They will ask if we looked away or if we stood up. The world has failed Gaza's children, but we can still act. We can demand accountability. We can support humanitarian efforts, and we can work for a just and lasting peace. We cannot be remembered as the generation that stood by while children were slaughtered. We must stand up, speak out, and make a difference. Thank you.
What's your crime? Backing Israel every time. UK government, what's your crime? Backing Israel every time. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
Thank you. Thank you, Hamad. Thank you very much, Dr. Hamad. We have another brilliant speaker, Dr. Divya Prasad. Where is she? There she is. Dr. Divya Prasad is a pediatric resident doctor in northwest of England. He is co-lead and social media spokesperson for UK HPRC. She has led successful petitioning as part of UK healthcare petitioning to the Royal Colleges, and we are delighted to have Divya here speak to us. So please give her a warm welcome.
You may know the name of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old girl. In her pictures, Hind smiles, her beautiful, long, curly hair cascading over her shoulders. She wears dresses in pink and blue and stylish tracksuits. Flowery hairbands and tiaras adorn her head. In one photo, she proudly dons graduation robes and a mortarboard, having just graduated from senior kindergarten. In another, she wears a doctor's white coat, with her friend as the patient, her hands placed on his arm, a smile across his face. She dreams of being a doctor. Her mother said she often placed her stethoscope on a little doll and said, "Mama, when I grow up, I want to heal people. I don't want anyone to be in pain." On the morning of January 29, 2024, Hind and her family left their home in Tal al-Hawa, escaping the city due to Israel's relentless attacks. Hind was with her aunt, uncle and 3 cousins. They were targeted by an Israeli tank, killing everyone inside apart from Hind and her 15-year-old cousin, Leanne Hamada. These 2 young girls were trapped in a car, surrounded by the dead bodies of their loved ones, not knowing if they would be next. Leanne was able to contact the Palestinian Red Crescent. In the recordings released, Leanne screams that the Israeli tanks are firing at them. It is audible in the background. The call gets disconnected. When the staff were able to reconnect with the 2 girls, Hind answers the phone. She pleads, "I'm so scared. Please, come. Call someone to come get me, please." The operator tries to calm her down by reciting the verses of the Quran with her. Hind tells the operator, "Stay with me, please. When someone calls, you can hang up the phone." The operator says, "I will not leave you. I'm talking to you, and I don't want to leave you anyway." Hind starts to scream as military vehicles move around the car. The call drops, and hours later reconnects again. The Palestinian Red Crescent managed to negotiate with the IDF via a third party, giving an ambulance permission to access the location. When the ambulance arrived, the call dropped for the final time. 12 days later, the 6 family members were found dead in their Kia Picanto. 335 bullet holes were scattered across the length of it.
Shame!
Hind's decomposed body was only identifiable by the clothes she was wearing. 2 Red Crescent paramedics, Ahmed and Yusuf, were found dead in their ambulance at the scene.
Free Street.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Don't support genocide!
Not how any child or any human being should come to the end of their life. An end filled with terror, isolation and unfathomable violence. This is the undeniable brutality of Israel. Hind's story is unique in some ways. We have the last moments of her life captured in our own voice. We hear a young girl having to deal with a situation a person 10 times her age would crumble under. Her story has been amplified, and rightly so. It encapsulates the cruelty of the Israeli Zionist machine. For her story, a child being killed in Palestine, is an occurrence that has now become a constant. 64,368 people have been killed in Gaza. 18,430 of these are children. This does not account for all those who are likely to be found under the rubble. Every day Israel kills the equivalent of a classroom of children in Gaza. We must not forget the children nor the people of the West Bank, who are also being subjected to terrible violence by Israeli forces and settlers. We will never know every child's story, their hobbies, their hopes and dreams, their thoughts in the very last moments of their lives, but each and every one of their stories matters. So does the story of all the child survivors, the children who are forced to suffer, to burn their school books to have a fire on which to cook, the children who have been severely injured, made blind, have shrapnel lodged in their organs, have had their limbs amputated, that their lives are forever changed. There are children who wish to go to heaven because it is the only place that they can get food and see their parents again. Children the world over are caught in the crossfires due to adults in power, the people who are supposed to ensure their safety, not protecting them. The UK government is guilty of aiding and abetting Israel, and as a result, Israel is wiping out a generation of Palestinian children.
Shame on Britain.
The film, The Voice of Hind Rajab, based on the events of that fateful day in January 2024, had its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival last Thursday. The film lasted 89 minutes and received a standing ovation of 23 minutes, a new record. If each child who had been killed by Israel had a film made about them, we would be watching for over 27,000 hours, which equates to over 3 years. If we honoured each film with a standing ovation, it would last for over 7,000 hours, 24 hours a day for 290 days. Hind didn't want anyone to be in pain. Our UK government, by supporting Israel, have caused her and thousands of people undeniable pain and suffering. The children of Gaza deserve more than empty statements and performative gestures from our government. They deserve life, the freedom to grow up, the opportunity to feel joy and laugh, the chance to dream. Let's keep showing up for the children of Gaza, for the children of the West Bank,
said about Hind Rajab, whom we will never forget. I'm now going to call upon Dr. Hannah Kalla, who is our colleague from London. She's a pediatric doctor of the 27 years standing.
Yes.
She has always stood with Palestinian people and against the crimes past and present, including imperialism, which sits at the heart of the trauma today. And all right today, she is standing against the genocide. She defends the right of defending the Palestinians and the Palestine cause. I call upon Hannah to come and take the stage.
The beauty of Paediatrics is that children bring an advocate with them. Dr. Ghassan Abu-Sita, in a recent interview, described the horror for children in Gaza, who, having suffered appalling trauma such as amputation, and who would normally look to their parents for reassurance that they will be all right, have no surviving member of their family to turn to when they reach a medical facility. The Palestinian people of Gaza are resisting the extermination and elimination that Israel intends, and Britain's support, currently by Starmer's Labour government, makes that possible. Britain sends arms and funds to Israel. Britain trains the Israeli military at bases around this country. Sends spy flights from RAF bases in Cyprus to aid Israel's genocidal activity. The Labour government's collusion and active participation in the genocide violates international law and rulings from the International Court of Justice. Across Britain, across the world, in every corner of every continent, people are standing up for Palestine, standing against occupation, against genocide, for the rights of the Palestinians to self-determination, standing for humanity and for the future of our children and our grandchildren. We salute all healthcare workers who are facing retribution for opposing genocide. We are now today standing outside the headquarters of the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, an institution that, as well as standing for all the usual things that a professional body does, has as one of its fundamental positions to advocate for child welfare internationally. We need the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, which represents child health, to stand with health workers internationally, give solidarity and recognition to doctors, nurses, paramedics and all healthcare workers who are being deliberately murdered and whose places of work are being deliberately bombed to smithereens by Israel. As paediatricians, we must speak up about our paediatric colleague, Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, the director of Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza, abducted in December 2024 by Israeli forces from within the hospital and is being held and tortured in a military prison, having now lost 1/3 of his body weight, with no light in his cell, and who is given just once a month 30 minutes outside. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health must advocate for children in Gaza, facing one of, or maybe the worst crisis children have ever faced in the world. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health is based in Britain and must challenge a Prime Minister who said it is fair game to deny water, food and electricity to the people of Gaza. Gaza is now the deadliest place to be a child. Every single day, a classroom of children are slaughtered in Gaza. Over 50,000 children have been killed or maimed in 23 months, and every time we speak, our figures are out of date. And this is probably a terrible underestimate. Every day, over 10 children lose hair on both legs, and Gaza now has more child amputees than anywhere else in the world. In these last 2 weeks, Israel has further stepped up its massacres of parents and children in Gaza City, using airstrikes, fire belts, drone attacks, and bomb-filled destroying 300 residential units every day in Gaza City. Last Tuesday, the 2nd of September, 5 children were deliberately targeted and murdered by Israel as they waited in a line for water. Israeli soldiers and US mercenaries are trapping, hunting and killing Palestinians at the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites. In the last 3 months, this has led to 2,339 people killed, 17,000 people injured, and Palestinian children have been disappeared while seeking aid at the GHF sites, taken into Israeli military custody where they are interrogated and tortured. There are 320,000 children in Gaza under the age of 5 years, and every one of those children is at risk of acute malnutrition, because only 15% of the number necessary of trucks are getting in, and 430 basic and vital food items are being blocked from entry into Gaza by the genocidal state of Israel, using starvation as a weapon of war. 131 children have already starved to death. I may have the wrong figure, but on different figures because the figure keeps going up. Many breastfeeding mothers are no longer able to produce milk to feed their newborn babies. 1 week ago, on the 1st of September, that bombing of a hospital, that was the 14th time that the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital has been bombed and attacked since October 2023. And since that attack last week in Gaza City, the Al-Ahli Hospital and Al-Shifa Hospital have been targeted, with staff and patients murdered, massacred, burnt alive. We suggest that the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health should be leading in the strongest way to condemn this deadly situation for children and their families, and paediatricians and paediatric staff and healthcare workers in general in Gaza. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health must be an institution that stands for health and stands for life. I want to listen to the story of the inspiring resilience of the youth in Gaza. Is 17 years old. He was born in 2008 and has survived 6 Israeli assaults on Gaza. Nesma started nursery under the Israeli bombs of 2012. Now at the age of 17, she has no teachers, no classrooms, no desks, no books, no internet, no library. She is hungry, she is thirsty, she is displaced. Still dreams of going to medical school and becoming a doctor, and she continues to study by torchlight in a tent under the constant threat of death. In the words of Nesma's older brother, perseverance is a form of resistance, survival is a statement of defiance. As the whole culture is an expected outrage, we call on the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health to stand with us on the right side of history, to stand with the children and young people in Gaza, and to insist that they have a future in defiance of Israel's aim to destroy their future and Britain's collaboration with the settler Zionist state. Fight racism! Fight imperialism! Isolate the Zionist state! Sanctions now! Free Palestine! Long live Gaza! Long live international solidarity! Complicity! Not naming Israel is complicity! Royal colleges, hear our call! Protect the children, protect them all! Royal colleges, hear our call! Protect their children, protect them all!
Thank you very much. So what a passionate exploration of our current state of affairs. So thank you very much, Hannah. We're going to move on to one of our star speakers, Dr. Ghassan Abu Sita. He does not need much introduction. He's a world-famous British Palestinian reconstructive and trauma surgeon. He's also the rector of the University of Glasgow. He has provided medical assistance in Gaza Strip repeatedly, but also in Lebanon, in Syria, and Yemen. He has traveled to Gaza multiple times, including since the assault on Gaza by Israel in 2023. In addition to his clinical and humanitarian endeavors, he's also a prolific writer, a teacher, and a communicator. We are very lucky to have Ghassan here. Please say a warm welcome for Ghassan. One of the first things that most of us here learn when dealing with abused children is that there usually is not just the perpetrator, but a whole system of enablement that usually works in order to silence the victim, in order to allow the abuse to continue unchallenged. And the genocidal murder of Palestinian children during this war as a form of abuse is the same. Israel might be the perpetrator, but there has been a system of genocide enablement that extends not just to Western governments that have provided Israel with the weapons it needs, that have protected Israel's economy so that it can continue unhindered for over 2 years. But unfortunately, academic institutions and worse, medical institutions, these institutions, rather than defend the rights of Palestinian children, have been complicit in enabling a genocide to continue into its 3rd year. The same way that those enablers of every abuser of children were. They silence the witness, they silence the victim, and they protect the abuser. All of us know that when a child is wounded, particularly in war, they are not just physically wounded. They are emotionally wounded, they are spiritually wounded, and they are socially wounded. And in a genocide, Gaza's children have lost every aspect of their lives. Not only have they lost siblings, have they lost parents, but they've also lost the very architecture of their life. They've lost their schools, they've lost their neighborhoods, they've lost their friends, they've lost anything and everything that they knew as part of a life that existed before October 2023. And these children have to now try to survive a famine. The wounded children in Gaza are unable to withstand the injuries that they suffer because their bodies are so malnourished. Their wounds cannot heal because their bodies are too malnourished to heal. They die from lesser injuries because their bodies, so emaciated, are unable to withstand the trauma of the injury. These children, if they were to be evacuated today, will need at least 1 to 2 months of refeeding just so that they can withstand the possibility of reconstructive surgery. The 50,000 Palestinian children wounded, we know from the medical literature that on average they will need between 8 and 12 surgeries by the time they become adults. Of the over 6,000 amputees, 20 to 25% are children. They will need surgeries and new prosthetics as their bodies try to outgrow the injury and the scarring from the injury. The legacy of this war will live with those who are surviving now,
but at the same time, the legacy of the complicity of medical institutions in the West will also live on. The Royal College of Paediatricians, the Royal College of Surgeons, the Royal College of Physicians have failed not just the victims of Gaza, but the health workers of Gaza by failing to speak up in defense of the weak and the vulnerable. And history will not absolve them. History will remember that the Royal College of Surgeons failed to name the recipient of one of its awards when he was killed by the Israelis. History will remember the Royal College of Paediatrics' failure to stand up for the rights of Dr. Hussam Abu Safiyyeh, a paediatrician who is being tortured.
Royal Colleges, hear our call. Protect the children, protect them all.
Royal Colleges, hear our call. Protect the children, protect them all. Royal Colleges, hear our call. Protect the children, protect them all.
We stand with the Palestinian people in Gaza. We stand with the children in Gaza because we know that this war is the model for future wars in the 21st century. Israel has normalized a level of brutalism in war that will be replicated across the rest of the 21st century. Israel has instituted a military doctrine that finds a health system as a central component of any military strategy, and the destruction of the health system as a necessity for winning any war. The rest of humanity will pay the price for its complicity, or at least its silence, in the face of Gaza's genocide, as Gaza's genocide becomes the prototype for the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Complicity! Africa, complicity! Not naming Israel's complicity! Silences! Complicity! Africa! Complicity! Not naming Israel!
Complicity!
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. It's a moving and timely reminder of where we are and where we do not wish to go. That is not a model of the war that we should allow to exist and to persist. Now, we have a number of our colleagues from a variety of groups who are all supporting the same cause. We would like to share a statement with you, which is a statement on behalf of all of our groups, and is going to be read by Dr. Farhana Rahman, who is a GP in London. She's a researcher and an academic, and she's going to come to the front with her baby.
Thank you, everyone. So this statement is issued on behalf of Healthworkers for Palestine, Child Health Advocates for Palestine, UK Health Workers Petitions to the Royal Colleges, Nurses for Palestine, and Healthcare Workers Against Censorship. We gather today outside the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health in a vigil of grief, solidarity, and determination. As healthcare workers, we are sickened by the atrocities committed by Israel against children, civilians, and fellow health workers in Gaza. We stand with the people of Gaza and all of Palestine, and with the health workers struggling to save lives under impossible conditions. We stand here today as Gaza's health system has been deliberately dismantled through sustained Israeli attacks on hospitals, clinics, ambulances, health workers and patients for 23 months. Israel's siege and blockade have created a man-made famine, weaponizing hunger and thirst against a trapped civilian population. We are here to say clearly, this is genocide.
Genocide. Certainly is.
These are war crimes and they are being enabled by our own government. We declare that the UK government's continued supply of arms, intelligence and diplomatic cover to Israel is in breach of international law and the Genocide Convention. The UK government must demand an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the full lifting of the siege and unimpeded humanitarian access to Gaza. Secondly, we demand that the UK government works to address the root cause of the current situation. The occupation by Israel of Gaza and other occupied Palestinian territories must come to an end in accordance with international law and on the rulings of the ICJ. Thirdly, we demand the UK immediately end all diplomatic, trade and defence ties with Israel and fully divest from the occupation, following the example set by Scotland. Comprehensive sanctions must be imposed until these demands are met. And finally, we demand that the UK government protect its own healthcare workers, both those raising the alarm about Gaza here at home, who are facing censorship and discrimination from their institutions, and those placing themselves in harm's way to deliver aid in the occupied Palestinian territories. We also call on all UK colleges, professional bodies, healthcare institutions and their leaders to act decisively in response to the demands of their members and ongoing war crimes. So I will reiterate the demands that you heard earlier. Publicly condemn Israel's killing of civilians, including children, and its deliberate targeting of healthcare workers and medical facilities in Gaza. Urge the UK government to end all political, military and economic support to Israel, including the export of arms and F-35 parts that enable these crimes. Sever all institutional links with Israeli governmental, academic and research bodies complicit in violations of international humanitarian law and distance themselves from UK-based lobby groups that defend or legitimize these war crimes. We further demand accountability for Israeli medics complicit in torture and other abuses. Academic or institutional ties that support or sustain Israel's system of occupation, apartheid and settler colonial violence. Protect and support their own members by implementing concrete safeguards for those who face censorship, disciplinary action or career repercussions for speaking out against war crimes and standing in solidarity with colleagues in Palestine. Facilitate a national conference on healthcare in Gaza, coordinated with frontline Palestinian partners, and ensure that all funds raised are donated directly to Palestinian NGOs working on the ground. As health workers, we have an ethical duty to speak out when the right to life and health is being systematically and deliberately destroyed.
multitasking at its best. Motherhood.
To remain silent is to be complicit.
Yes.
Our professional codes compel us to oppose all forms of genocide, all forms of oppression, and our shared humanity demands that we act when faced with atrocities. Today, we reaffirm our unwavering solidarity with Palestinian health workers who continue to save lives while risking and too often losing their own. We stand with every man, woman and child in Gaza whose life has been stolen, shattered or scarred by this violence. We will not stop until the killing ends, justice is delivered and Palestine is free. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Thank you.
Royal Colleges, hear our call! Protect children, protect them all!
Royal Colleges, hear our call! Protect their children, protect them all!
Silence is
Complicity!
half-truths are
Complicity!
not naming Israel!
Complicity!
Thank you very much, Farhana. Very, very moving, and I hope everybody agrees with every word of that. And what is special, and what was special was seeing Farhana with a baby. Ah,
Who can be fed, receiving food that is healthy.
absolutely,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sorry, that was...
Now, we have, our last speaker is running late. As the NHS is, he's running a clinic and he can't seem to be able to get away from it. So we shall have to pass on Professor Thomas and Thompson. And he will be with us, however, in the Palestinian house when we move to Palestine House after this event. Our next and final stage of this vigil is to hold another 2-minute silence. This time for our colleagues, just like you and me, who have fallen and murdered deliberately by Israel and its genocidal machine. This is not an accident. This is not an epidemic. They have been targeted because they look after children and their health. So please join me in 2-minute silence starting now. Barak will tell you about. This is about the large number of signatures that Barak and his team have collected. So Barak, you you want to say a few words?
Hi everyone, my name is Farad. I've been one of the co-leads of UK HVRC, a petitions group in the Royal College specifically. We've been trying to get all of them, and hopefully we have had most of them. We have captured the primary care petitions via the RCP and the Paediatrics and child health professionals via the RCP petition. And there are many other colleges, the Royal College of Surgeons, the Royal College of Physicians, the Royal College of Anaesthetists, and the list goes on. We have collected over 10,000 signatories, and we have collected 5,000 medical documents. Today we have submitted all of our petitions, and we are concluding here at the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, surrounded by the wonderful community of the pediatrics and child health professionals. So you are all welcome in this image to take a photo with me in submitting this photo to the RCP&CH, and so that we can document this moment as a moment of unity, as a moment of cross-organizational solidarity, as a movement that refuses genocide across the board. So why don't you all gather around me, and if we can get the petition envelope on, and we will be taking this photo, and we'll try our best to make this lovely photo visible amidst our very large crowd.
Palestine! 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 Palestine!
Okay, everyone, that brings us an end. Can we have a round of applause for everyone? We've counted over 100 health workers, children's doctors, children's health workers outside the college today. I'd like to put together a round of applause for everyone who came out. I'd also like to put our hands together for an amazing range of speakers who shared their testimony, their experience. A round of applause, please. That brings us to an end to our first action today. We are now going to disperse peacefully towards Palestine House, where we will have further talks, opportunities to get to know each other, build our movement, and these activities start at 4 p.m. That gives us about 50 minutes to grab some food, to rest, have some water. I must say that food is not provided by us at Palestine House, but you might be able to get some. So plan your travels smartly. And just finally, thank you to everyone who came out to see 100 of us and more, with media, with eminent paediatricians. It's been wonderful and a fitting tribute to the work we've been doing. Thank you, everyone.
I'll pick up my shoes.
So guys, please